going to want to have your swing really low. Low enough for you to comfortably come into a shoulder stand. Maybe you could... Agni will just demonstrate. Give us a wave, Agni. So, probably a little bit closer to the ankle than the knee. And when you take a seat in it, you should be able to come into a shoulder stand nice and comfortably. Not too high, not like your highest shoulder stand, but a nice comfortable shoulder stand. So wrapping the legs around, that's it, landing on the shoulders. Yeah. So if your swing's at that height, it's a good height, then you won't have to, hopefully you won't have to adjust it for the rest of the class. So we'll begin. We're not actually going to begin in shoulder stand. That's like our height test, just so we can get to the right height. What we're actually going to do is we're going to practice that leg ankle wrap that we did earlier today. So I think both of you got to practice that higher. This is maybe the level you should start at. So we're going to do the leg wrap. So can you lie with the swing around about sort of belly level, around about belly or hip level, and just bring your feet through the inside and then wrap them around. So through the inside, wrap them around. That's it. And at this level, you can just guide the swing down onto your ankles with your hands, can't you? So it's got the ankles. Yeah. Okay, and then we'll separate the feet and come into what we might call frog's legs. So a little bit like Baddha Konasana, but not really having the feet together. That's it. Yeah, and then from here we're going to do like a stir in the pot or a circling motion now. So keeping a little bend in the knees as you circle your feet around, yeah? That's it. You can maybe go a little bit bigger, Agni, so maybe open the feet a bit wider, that's it, and then go, yeah, slightly bigger movement. So it's really nice to be able to do this actually. It's really one of the lovely things you can do to mobilize and massage the body using the swing. So we'll do a bit of that in one direction, and then we're going to change directions with the circling. And then we're just going to we're going to bend the knees, that's it, and we're going to let ourselves rest in a Baddha Konasana position. And Agni's got her hands on the side of her ribs just to help her be a little bit more aware of her breathing, so you could also try that. Close your eyes. And just let the back of the hips surrender down into the floor, the back of the body, lower back. So just taking this opportunity to tune in with the breath. You may have been busy, you may have been active and distracted in your day. This is just an opportunity with the legs supported by the swing to focus your attention more on the breath, to bring your awareness into your body before we go into the full restorative yoga class. So imagine you're taking the breath in through your hands, into the side of your ribs and the back of your rib cage. Okay, now Agni's going to take the feet out, and you're going to take a seat in the swing facing us, I think, to begin with, Agni. So she's taken a seat in the swing and going to lie back and pull the swing over your head. That's it. And we're going to keep the legs out. We're just going to let ourselves rock back and forth now. So if you just focus on the feet here. As you rock forwards, you let your heels lift. And as you rock back, you let your toes lift, but you keep your heels down. So we call this the seesaw. We're mobilizing the foot, the ankle, the toes, and the knees. So we're rocking back and forth. Now we're going to transition into something we call circling. So we ground the feet down and we begin to circle the body around a little bit. So best thing to do is imagine you're drawing circles with your knees. So you're circling with your knees, you're keeping the feet down, so you're not lifting the feet off the floor as you do this movement. Then we'll change direction, we'll do a few in the opposite direction. And then we'll bring the knees inside the swing. We'll bring the knees towards your belly or your chest. Lift your feet a little so you can just see the feet. And begin to cycle the legs around just as though you're on a bike. Maybe trying to keep the side of the feet parallel with the sides of the room. So you have to just focus a little bit more on the movement. Do the movement a bit more deliberately. So we're bringing our awareness into the legs and the hips. Okay, now Agni's going to land those feet onto the floor. And she's going to come up to seated. Coming up to seated, we're going to do a little posture called tortoise posture, kumasana. So opening the legs and bringing the arms down the inside of the legs. So the upper arms are pressing against the inside of your knees or thighs. Yeah, and you're just going to lean forward. So you're going to bring yourself into a forward bend. Let me try and show you a bit from the side. Now, you could grab your ankles in this position if that's kind of accessible and your back will allow it. Yeah, but another option is to do what Agni was doing, which is just have the arms in Anjali, the hands in Anjali, and come through. Yeah. What she was also doing there was a little bit of rocking. So if you do the version that you prefer, Agni, and notice that she's kind of swaying the hips a little bit. So you're getting the most out of the swing. You're using the swing's capacity to help you move in a kind of light, free fashion that, in this instance, helps with the hips and the lower back. Yeah? Perfect. So from here, we're going to transition into the shoulder stand. So remember, you've got to narrow the swing with your hands. Agni's just going to turn around. You don't have to turn around. This is just to make it more visible for you. So she takes a seat, she narrows the swing, and she wraps the legs around. You'll notice the swing is like a short skirt, yeah, so that it's not too close to her knees. All right, now from here, we're going to take the arms over the top of the head. And the reason we're doing that is to have more of the back of the arms and the top of the back pressed into the floor. From here, we're going to swing the legs a bit side to side. Yeah, that's it. So 2 reasons for this. We're continuing to mobilize the skeleton. We're working through the legs and the hips and the lower back. We're also taking the opportunity to get a bit of a back rub. So you'll notice with your arms over your head like this, as you rock your hips from side to side, you get a little bit of pressure going into the top of the back there, massaging the top of your back. So in aerial yoga, we call this a tufa, yeah? When you get, like it's 2 for 1 offers. When you get like an offer in the supermarket, 2 for the price of 1. Here, you're getting hip openers and a back rub. Yeah, it's a tufa. Now after the tufa, we're going to go, I've forgotten what we're doing next now. I'm so excited with that Spontaneous instruction. We're releasing the leg. Right leg releases forwards into a nice hip flexor opener. Yeah, now if you want the foot to drop a bit lower down, all you would do is narrow your swing, isn't it? So you could reach forwards, pull the swing more onto the buttock, and then your foot will fall further forwards, and you get a little bit more of a hip flexor opening. Yeah, so you can customize. Yeah, and then Agni's going to swing that leg back around into a shoulder stand and drop the left leg down. And again, she might decide she's going to shorten the swing so the foot can drop a bit further forwards. And she's going to give it a little bit of a wave. Yeah. So when you're waving the leg, make sure your shoulders stay down. So your shoulders become your feet in this posture. That's your ground, that's your base. You don't want to be lifting the shoulders up. Then we'll swing that leg back around. That's it. And we'll drop the right leg down and around. So this is like a bit of a hip roll. So watch this one. Agni drops the right leg down, lets it come all the way down, forwards and across. Yeah. Then as she inhales, she swings that leg back inside the swing. That's it. As she exhales, she drops the left leg down, forwards and around. Inhale, she brings the leg back into the swing. So keep going from side to side with your legs, exhaling down, inhaling back in. Good, and then she'll just pause and we can complete this part of the class with the same position we started. So the arms are over the head, we'll give the hips a gentle little rock from side to side, massaging the hips, lower back and also the shoulders. Perfect. Okay, now Agni's going to come up and all she's going to do, it'll be a bit difficult for you to see, but she's going to come up and she's just going to come into a forward bend. So you can face away from us, Agni. Yeah, so she's just going to come up, come through, legs are straight, and she just comes straight in to a forward bend. So a nice gentle fold, she's got a bend in the knees, she's not straining, it's a restorative class. So aerial Paschimottanasana. Okay, and then we're going to go back into shoulder stand. We're just giving the neck a little bit of a rest. In the shoulder stand, we narrow the swing, we wrap the legs back around, landing on the shoulders. We're going to continue with the mobilization now, and we're going to do Baddha Konasana legs. So one leg at a time, I would recommend. Bring one foot down. Find the front edge of the swing, bring the foot in, and then the other foot comes down and joins it. So you've got these diamond shaped formed by the two legs. Yeah. If you drop your arms out to the side and just begin to give the hips a little shake from side to side, a little rock from side to side. Yeah, and then maybe just let it come to a standstill in the middle. We're going to extend the feet towards the ceiling now. So remember legs up the wall posture from a traditional class. Just extend your feet up. I would say that you don't want to press your feet into the side of the material. You want to keep your feet over your hips. So the weight then transfers down into the back of your pelvis and you're in a very mild forward bend position here. So bending the knees again, Agni's going to find that Baddha Konasana position, so feet inside the swing. And she's going to bring her right leg through towards her face. and then across her body. So the hips are now stacked one on top of each other. The shoulders remain on the floor. So she's in a mild kind of twist and compression. You could do a tiny bit of rocking here if it's not uncomfortable. Do a tiny bit of rocking. If at any time you want to be still, by the way, if you don't enjoy the rocking, then feel free to just hold the postures. I'm going to show you quite a nice way of just gently refining the twist in this position. So if you take a little look, Agni drops the front foot out, so that's the left foot, and she grabs it with the opposite hand. So she grabs the foot or the ankle, the opposite hand. Now with her left hand, she just reaches up and grabs the leg that she can see, the outside of the thigh. She pulls down with the left hand, and she pulls in with the right hand. So what this tends to do is it helps you to activate the right muscles in this position. So you might be aware of your inner thighs becoming more engaged, and maybe a little bit of lifting in the pelvic floor as well. And you will feel there's an intensification of the compression in the abdomen when you do that. So it's quite a nice experience of a twist. It's a good way of educating the body to what they should really feel like when you're using the correct muscles. Okay, that's very good. So we're just going to do the other side. So maybe the easiest way to do that is to come back into Baddha Konasana. Baddha Konasana, and then bring that left leg through and across. There you go. Now I would just give you a little bit of a rock to begin with, a tiny little rock just to loosen everything up. And then you can come into the second version. Just drop the front ankle out, reach up and grab that with your left hand, and then take the right hand and grab the top thigh. Okay, we're going to try for a long bridge now. So if we bring both feet inside the swing, you're going to hold your side of the swing. So hold with your hands quite firmly, and then begin to straighten the legs, but keep them inside the swing. Yeah. Now if this is uncomfortable in your lower back, you can try bending your knees a bit more, or you can just have the swing a little bit lower. So more like on the top of the buttocks rather than around the crest of the pelvis. So there's a couple of things you might try if it feels uncomfortable in your lower back. So we're fairly low with the swing today, so you're probably going to be okay with where it is. We're going to just begin to swing our legs from side to side, arms in a comfortable position. So this is a great lateral side stretch for your spine. It's one of the wonderful ways you can mobilize your body using a swing that will keep the body in such good condition. There's only 4 ways you can mobilize your spine, isn't it? Backwards, forwards, sideways, and twisting. This is a great side mobilization. Perfect. Okay, now Agni's going to pause. She's just going to let the momentum come to a standstill. Again, let the momentum blow itself out. And then she's going to reach up, take hold of the swing, bring herself up and drop the feet out, and As a recovery position from this, I want you to do either a standard forward bend, or if you prefer tortoise, where you open the feet a bit wider, you can probably see Agni's doing tortoise, but if you prefer to do standard Paschimottanasana, then you can do that. And if you want to do a little rocking, you know, be my guest. If it feels good for you, do a little rocking. If you'd rather be still, follow that inclination. Okay, so the final bit of mobilization we're going to do here involves turning onto the belly. So when you do this, you might be facing in the opposite direction, so you might just have to come around and face away from your screen initially, like Agni is. Because then, when you do this turning movement, turning onto your side, that's it, turning onto the side, and then Agni, with our years of experience, is able to pull the swing down over her knees. Can you just show us it from the side, Agni? Yeah, so you see how much of her is in there? Yeah, I'll get plenty of you inside the swing. And we're going to do some small circling movements for the shoulders, arms and chest now. So keeping the hands down, we're just going to do some small circles. You can see the effect that's having on the arms. And then we're going to use the sort of the low impact quality now. With the body weight suspended, we can do some wrist mobilizations that feel quite light, yeah, because the body weight's, so much of the body weight is suspended. So the first one we're going to do, show you a close up of the hands, turn onto the back of the hands facing the fingers in. Yeah, if any of these feel uncomfortable to you, don't do them. Yeah. So she's turned onto the back of the hands, and she's now going to use a little bit of a rocking, like a rolling pin movement, to roll the body back and forth. So that's one wrist stretch. Another one is to turn the fingers back towards your knees, Agni. So turn the hands the other way around, that's it. Yeah, so the fingers are now facing back towards a lower body. Yeah, and again, you know, you can use the swing to help move the stretch across the wrist. So you can move the body weight side to side a little bit, almost like a little wagging of the tail movement. Again, like I said, if any of this is uncomfortable, painful, then you should miss this out. And we'll come back to normal orientation for the hands. We'll do a bit more circling in the opposite direction to last time, if you can remember. Probably anti-clockwise. So a little bit of circling. And then we're going to do a little bit of stretching for the knuckles now. So the first one, Agni's going to make fists and come onto the biggest knuckles. So that's it, the biggest knuckles. And then she's going to come forward. So you're trying not to twist your wrist particularly. You're trying to stack the joints. So look at your wrist joint. Is it kind of twisting? Can you get a bit more on top of it? That's it. That's good, yeah. You're not going to get completely on top, I don't think, but... So it's quite interesting, because you would never really think to sort of put pressure through the knuckles, but we collect an awful lot of tension in our hands. So we're working to the biggest knuckle, then we turn on to the next knuckle. So we come down here, that's it, the next knuckle, and we begin to try and bring the weight forward slightly, so we put a bit more pressure through those knuckles, if that's not uncomfortable. Can you lift your wrist at all when you do that, Agni? Yeah, or is that not good? Okay, don't do that. Okay, don't. Okay. And then the final one is just to come onto the final knuckle there. So just sort of hooking the top knuckle back like that, yeah. Yeah. And maybe it's an unusual feeling, isn't it? So maybe you don't need to rock, maybe you just need to put a bit of pressure through there, get a stretch through that knuckle, and not worry so much about movement. Okay, so we are now going to come out of the swing. We've done a bit of breath awareness, we've done some mobilization for the skeletal system, and now we're going to finish with 3 or 4 sort of longer held postures that from the restorative or the yin tradition. So the first one is it's called melting heart, isn't it, Agni? So do you want to? Okay. So we want to get the swing onto the crest of the pelvis. So to do that, you might find that you need to shuffle forwards so that you've got a bit of tension in the swing. So when Agni comes into this, the swing is sort of pulling back on the crest of the pelvis. So it's kind of pulling a hip joint ideally wants to be over the knee as much as possible, so it needs to move back a little bit. Yeah. Okay, and then the rest of the body comes down like this. Yeah, so you get bringing the chest towards the floor and the arms extending in front of you. I should have mentioned having a bolster or cushion nearby. So you, potentially here, if this is uncomfortable on your shoulders, you could bring a bolster underneath the body, or maybe even a bolster underneath the lower arms. Yeah, or even this. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so here we are. So holding these postures for longer, allowing the body to have some time in the opening, time in the stretch, rather than rushing from one posture to the next, can often have a much deeper effect, physically, physiologically, and emotionally as well. It can also be challenging mentally when you're not perhaps used to, we might call a more traditional style of yoga, or a sort of softer style. I don't mean soft in a weak sense. I mean not so vigorous, not so orientated towards fitness. The big challenge can often be the mental level, just trying to stay present with the experience. Now, often I find it helpful to just be aware of the swing at these moments. So, everything you do with the swing makes your life easier, I would say, unless you're doing the strength work. But when you're doing this stuff, the swing is helping you hold the position a little bit more easily than you would normally. So just be aware of it wrapping around the front of your pelvis, top of your thighs. And just let it hold the lower half of your body. It's very gently pulling back on the lower half of your body whilst you're stretching forwards into the upper half, spreading out through your top of your back, forwards into your arms and your hands. Be aware of the rising and falling, also of your breath. As you breathe in, just imagine you're getting a little bit longer, like your arms are getting a little bit longer. And then as you breathe out, let your awareness fall back into your hips and your feet. Yeah? So as you breathe in, feel as though you're getting longer. And then as you breathe out, sink back into your legs and your hips. Okay, now from here we're going to slowly walk ourselves back, bring ourselves up, maybe sit back on the heels. And we're going to do a posture called Sphinx. So it's a mild back bend with the forearms down on the floor. We're going to wear the swing across the top of the chest, across the pecs. And for this I would walk back a little bit so you're more underneath the plumb line of your swing. Otherwise you might find it's digging into your armpits and it's not too comfortable. So Agni has gone back more underneath the plumb line. And now, is it Sphinx or was it a different one? A different name, didn't it? Seal, yeah. Yeah, so the forearms are not down. The legs are a little bit wide. I don't know if you can see those legs, but their feet are wider than the hips, a tiny bit wider than the hips. The arms are extended. Yeah, the swing is really... we've just done this in a yin class. Agni was teaching a yin class to her friends, and I would really have liked to have had the swing assisting me in this position. It's just helping you to lift into your chest and extend through your thoracic spine. So we're going to hold this position. Maybe just a little bit of tightening of the abdomen, tightening of the glutes. Okay, so Agni's going to bring herself back into the recovery position from this, which I think is just to push back into like a child pose. That's it. Without using the swing now. I think we'll just push into child, yeah? Yeah. Actually, yeah, let's try balasana with the swing. So if you just come up a little bit, and we're going to try and cover the front of your body, so your belly and your chest with the swing. And again, this one, I don't know, do you need the bolster for this?
No, I think
Yeah, you're okay. You could always have a bolster underneath your chest and rest your head on a bolster as well in this one. See, she's got a lot more swing there. And this is quite a nice one because the swing can really help to make you aware of your breathing. So you've got that little bit of resistance, a resistance effect of having the swing wrapped around the belly and the chest. And that tends to have the effect of slowing your breathing down. So you might notice the breath really begins to slow down. And then I think from here we're going to go into a supine twist. So if we're going to lie back and we're going to put the lower legs, basically the lower leg from the calf from the ankle up to the sort of the back of the knee, and we're going to bend the knees. That's it, and drop the knees over to your left side, and then shuffle the hips back a little bit towards your right side so it's a bit easier to see. So the right side of the body, when you look down at your right shoulder, your right hip, they stay in line. So if you come back the other way a little bit, I think, Agni, you've come a bit far. So you can see there's a kind of pretty good straight line down the right side of Agni from a hip to shoulder. Knees drop over to her left side. Yeah, and she's just going to keep looking straight up. You could look to your right side if that feels comfortable for you as well. Yeah, so we're in a nice gentle little spinal twist with the leg weight supported by the swing. Just see if you can let yourself relax more into that feeling of being supported. So let the legs relax, the inside of the legs relax. Then we're going to transition to the other side. So if we bring the knees over to the right side, shuffle the hips a little bit to your left side. That's it. Try and keep the knees, the inside of the legs, zipped together. So really close together. Back of the shoulders can relax, the arms can lengthen, the head can turn. And then it's really just about you being present, with your body present in this moment. not doing anything. Just not doing anything other than being present. And what that allows is an opportunity for your body to recharge, isn't it? That's what this is about. This is how bodies recharge. By resting, but not just resting, it's resting mindfully, isn't it? It's resting with attention. This is the real magic of this kind of yoga, this kind of activity. It's a very powerfully rejuvenating effect because it allows you to rest. It allows the body to repair. Okay, so we're going to bring this short, this mini aerial yoga restorative class to a conclusion. I would do whatever feels right for you now with your legs. You might want to do circles, you might want to bring the knees towards you. And then you can bring yourself up, bring yourself out of that.